Welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, I hope you are all having a wonderful day. Today's collective reading is for anyone who's been feeling emotionally drained, second guessing themselves, or wondering why they keep ending up in the same kinds of situations. The title of today's reading is The Number One Sign You're Giving Your Power Away and How to Take It Back. We're going to explore what this pattern looks like, why it's showing up, and what the cards reveal about what's happening beneath the surface, and most importantly, how you begin reclaiming your power. As always, this is a collective reading, so take what resonates and leave what does not. Let's see what Spirit wants you to understand today. All right. Okay, I want to start off with our 5 cards to give us some context. That's 2. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think. Okay, and in the first position, we have identity crisis. With identity crisis, when we're talking about the number one sign you're giving your power away, right? And I think this card is very fitting, identity crisis, because when we're giving our power away, oh, yes, when you give your power away, what that tends to look like is a sense of needing validation from other people, going to other people. It's a sense of, of not trusting yourself, going to other people and asking them. And I know that it's harmless, but going to other people and asking for their opinions about your ideas, or maybe you have something that you want to do, that you have decided that you want to do, but you don't necessarily feel comfortable moving forward in that unless someone validates that idea or, kind of gives you a green light before you feel comfortable going forward. And this is an identity crisis, because it's literally like you already know what you want to do, but you're placing the power for you to actually do it or move forward in someone else's hands. So you don't feel comfortable, you don't trust yourself, and you don't it's a sense of, like not really trusting or believing what your own inner knowing is leading you to. Okay. And then in position number 2, we have fact check. Fact check. Yeah, this is a belief system issue, right? And look what this card says. A faulty belief system will still feel true if it's never been challenged? How much of your truth is based on secondhand stories and emotional static? So again, we're talking about secondhand information. Someone who someone in your life, someone that maybe you trust more than yourself, you're giving them the power to basically verify your identity or what you want to be or claim yourself to be, right? And this is exactly what giving your power away looks like. You know what I mean? It's like it also causes you to feel emotionally drained. It doesn't empower. It's not empowering for you. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try not to say okay too much. I say that a lot. But anyway, yes, we're talking about you not trusting yourself enough to move forward with things in your life, trusting other people to validate your ideas, your experiences, who you are basically. And then the driving energy here is as negative creator. Now, we're all creators, and we're creating whether it's positive or negative, right? Really personally, okay, I know there's positive and negative, but understand that even a negative can be positive, because I believe that all things work for our favor, and even things that may not look positive in the beginning, can contribute some type of positive understanding or realization in our life. Okay, so let's get the next two cards out. Oh, here we go. The foundation is being a follower. If you keep letting others decide the direction, don't be surprised when you end up back in the same situation, right? And that's pretty much what it is. Being an individual is not easy, right? It's not easy to trust yourself over other people, because most people are not okay. I'm not going to say most people, but I'm going to say a lot of people don't feel confident, or at least in my experience, being an independent thinker is it takes a lot of confidence, and it also takes a lot of courage, right? Because people are always going to have an opinion about what you do, who you are, your path in life and the path. But the thing is understanding that if you follow others, you're not on your path. If you need permission from others before you can move forward with what your inner being is calling you to move forward with, what is calling you, right? Calling you to it, because I believe that we all have a calling. And if you're always waiting for someone to validate your ideas, validate your life so that you can feel like you have an identity, you're going to always be in crisis, because you're going to keep finding yourself. Other people cannot lead you on your path. It's your path for a reason. And if other people are trying to lead you on your path, are they really on their path? It's one thing to go and ask for guidance, right? We all need guidance sometimes, because we always learn from other people. But seeking guidance is not asking permission. There's a big difference. Okay. And then in the shift is to have a guarded heart, right? The shift is to open your heart, right? To maybe not be so guarded, because the reason that you're seeking validation is because your heart is not open to your own ideas, right? When your heart is open, you're curious, you know. You're curious. You are willing to take chances, even if things don't work out, right? You're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of failure, because you understand that with every failure comes growth. And it's not really a failure. It's just a learning experience. You know, we need to learn how to categorize things for what they truly are in a truthful manner. We learn from our mistakes. That is the whole purpose of making mistakes, so that we can learn from them. When you learn from them, you grow from them. And that is not a process that we can avoid. None of us can avoid that process. So anyway, we're going to get into some tarot and dig a little bit deeper. Into this topic and see what kind of answers Spirit has for us regarding how we can move forward. Sorry guys, something about when that camera's on. I can sit here and shuffle all day when the camera's not on. Something about knowing that camera's on gets me all flustered and is in a tizzy. Okay. All right, let's dig a little deeper and see what the tarot has to say, what kind of guidance we can receive today. Okay, we have the Emperor, right? This is for identity crisis. The Emperor is all about, Emperor is taking control, okay? Is remembering that you are the master, right? This is your path, okay? We have the Ten of Pentacles came out in reverse. The Ten of Pentacles is about a legacy. It's about your legacy, right? This is the goal. The goal is that we're all going to the same place, right? At some point, the life that we came here to live is going to come to an end. And that's not, that's what we came for, right? But hopefully, before we leave here, this Earth school, because Earth is a school, we will have learned and contributed something, right? Because we're all here to contribute to the whole. And I believe that we all have something very specific to us that we were meant to do while we're here. And this is the legacy. Okay, the legacy is what you're going to leave behind, what people are going to remember you for, right? The Emperor is about taking control. The Emperor is someone who builds. This is foundation, number 4. This is stability, right? So the Emperor is the energy of taking charge and building from the ground up, creating a stable foundation for the growth. Think of a high-rise building, right? When they start to build a high-rise building, they don't start at the ground level. They go underneath the ground to create a foundation, a solid foundation that's going to allow that growth, that's going to allow that tall building to continue to stand as a tower, right? The Emperor is the foundation, the one that from the beginning creates the foundation, and the Emperor is in control of the situation. So this is about taking control of your legacy, but 10 of Pentacles, the legacy is in reverse in this reading. And the reason why it's in reverse is because if you are having an identity crisis, if you don't know who you are, you can't create a legacy. If you are believing and trusting in other people and not trusting your own inner knowing and understanding, remembering who you are and the purpose that you came here to serve, right? You can't leave a legacy. People won't ever really know the real you, because you can't know the real you until you stop following others and leaving it up to other people to determine your identity, who you are. That's for you and only you. So with the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, with an identity crisis, you can't leave a legacy. And what does that leave? That leads a life of disappointment. With the 5 of Cups, this is disappointment. This is not living up to your own potential. Not seeing because you see the potential that you have. That's the reason why, you go to others to validate your potential, to validate your ideas. You see what you're capable of. You just don't trust that. You understand? And with this 5 of Cups, if you're trusting other people, if you're trusting secondhand information, it leads to disappointment. That's what it's going to lead to. Okay? Now, what do we need to know about fact check? Okay. Oh. We have the Sun. When you fact checked, right? When you stand on your truth and you see your truth, you see how she's looking up at this sunflower? When you see your truth, who you are, right? And this is a number 19. A number 19 adds up to a number 10, where you have a 1 and a 0. A 0 is a new beginning, and then you have the 1, which is the self, right? The magician, the power to create, the power to manifest, right? Based off of what you know. The 0 is the Fool in the major arcana. And the Fool comes here with nothing but faith and belief in himself and in the divine. And what the Fool comes in with, that little knapsack that he comes in with, that is his experience. That's all he brings into this time-space reality when When you come here from spirit into a body, you bring your experiences from your past life. You bring the experiences that you have learned, right, with you. Here you have a 0, you have a 10, which is a 1 and a 0. So you're coming in with your experiences that you know you can trust because they're yours. Because they're yours. And then you come in with all the tools of the magician. So you have all the tools that you need to manifest the life of your dreams. Okay? So you don't need secondhand information, right? You have everything you need. You just have to trust. What else for fact check? Okay, we have the Page of Pentacles. And this came out sideways, but since it's not all the way sideways, I'm going to take it upright. The Page of Pentacles. This is opportunity. When you come in and you ask the sun, what you need is revealed to you. To you, not to anybody else, to you. And this is a new opportunity. So what you have before you is a new opportunity. Something that you're going to learn from and that you're going to grow. Okay? And this is what we all come here with, right? An opportunity to do something with our life, something that we feel called to do, something that's going to, you see how she's focusing on that pinnacle? The pinnacles represent the material world, the 3D, right? Out of all of the other elements, the pinnacle represents the 3D, and it is the slowest. Manifestation takes the longest because the other elements are fire, air, and water. But the pinnacles manifest into the material world, and it's just like everything that manifests into the material world. Think about creation and all the things that are created. Creation takes time. So you have to be patient with yourself. But you see it. You have the vision with the sun. You have the vision, so you don't need secondhand information. What else do we need to know about fact check? Okay, we have 2 of Swords. Yeah. The choice is not always easy, but you have to be willing to see. And sometimes you have to be willing to make a choice even though you can't see, right? You have to trust your intuition, because sometimes the thing is, especially when you are trying to create something, or you have an idea, right? It's like when I wanted to start learning tarot. First of all, I've always, ever since I got my first reading from a lady many, many years ago. And I think that sparked my initial interest in understanding how you can gain knowledge and, from the unseen realm. Well, I always was connected to spirit. I've always been spiritual, but I didn't know anything about the cards. Okay. I didn't know anything about tools, let me say. But when I got a reading from this lady, it opened my eyes. And ever since that time, I've always been curious about it. I even used to try to do my own readings back then, but I don't know, it kind of fell off, and I kind of maybe lost interest for a time because I was going through so much in my life at the time. But needless to say, that was a seed. It sparked a seed. And I didn't know, I didn't even realize until I was going through a difficult period in my life at that time. And what that reading that the lady gave me it gave me hope. That's what it gave me. It gave me hope. And it's funny because many years later, I reconnected with the tarot, because she didn't use tarot. She used regular playing cards. But I remember I was in separation, or something was going on in my marriage, and it was so hard. And I went to this festival and I got a reading from a lady at the festival who was doing readings at the festival. And oh my gosh, it gave me hope again. She just knew what was going on in my, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. When she pulled those cards, she knew what was going on in my life, and she understood, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. But she gave me clarity, and she gave me, that reading gave me clarity, and it gave me hope again. So anyway, back to your reading. This is not about me. This is about you. Sometimes you can't see what's ahead of you when you need to make choices, because when you have this new opportunity, there will be choices that need to be made, and you will have to sometimes, a lot of times, make the choice, even when you don't have all of the information. A lot of times you won't have all the information, but you'll have your intuition, and you'll have this knowing. And yeah, the one thing you don't want to do is live your life in default, refusing to make choices. Okay? You have to be able to discern, to have discernment when it comes to figuring out what's true and what's true for you, choosing what is true for you, not based on secondhand information. Okay, let's move on to what's driving this energy. Negative creator, right? Are you creating from fear or from truth? Right? We have the Eight of Wands here. And we have the Queen of Pentacles. The Eight of Wands is about taking action, right? Passionate action, right? You see how he's sprinting? He is sprinting. And this is fire. Wands are fire energy. The fire is what gets you going. You know how when you have this new thing that you want to do, you know, you feel a little fired up in the beginning, and you're inspired to take action. That's what the Eight of Wands is about. It's about taking inspired action. Okay? So even when you're feeling like the choice is a difficult choice. It's a difficult decision. Which way do I go? What do I choose? Which truth, right? The swords represent communication. They represent truths and understanding, and also knowledge. Take swift action, right? Towards making a choice. You know what they say about wealthy people, how wealthy people, I don't know where I heard this from, but it's my understanding that when they get inspired to do something, they don't procrastinate. They take action. They take massive action. When there's a choice to be made, they trust themselves, and they make a choice, and they take immediate action towards that choice. Okay? And here we have the Queen of Wands. I'm sorry, not the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is here over the Emperor, right? She is someone who knows how to nurture her environment, The Queen of Pentacles is abundant. She's not just abundant in, in wealth, in money. She is abundant in love. The Queen of Pentacles is the energy of someone who pays attention to not just herself. She knows how to love on herself. You know what I mean? The same way that she knows how to love on others. Someone who knows how to love on you is somebody who pays attention to, they might listen to you talk, right? They might pay attention to the things that you say that you like, how you like to be treated, how you like to feel. And these are people, this is the energy of someone who cares what you like, who cares this is someone who, when they buy you a gift, they want to buy you a gift that is meaningful to you, something that they heard. Oh, you know what? I like getting massages. I wish I could get a massage one day or something like that. And this is the person who surprises you with the massage. Not because you told her, but because maybe she heard you say it, or she caught you, looking at, someone who pays attention and who takes care of the people in their environment, takes care of themselves just as well as they take care of others. They know what they like, they know what they don't like, and they honor themselves, and they nurture what's theirs, and they help other people to nurture themselves as well. Very nurturing energy. Everything in her environment flourishes. If it just flourishes and multiplies, because she knows how to love. And this is what you have to understand. She knows who she is. Okay? And that is back to the Emperor. She's on top of the Emperor. The Emperor takes control, builds a steady foundation. The Queen of Pentacles nurtures that foundation and loves on it so that what is created on top of that foundation can flourish and can grow, right? And she is a creator. The card that we're looking at is negative creator. So that means that you're a creator no matter what. That's what the card says. The question is, are you creating from fear or from truth? The Queen of Pentacles creates from truth. She doesn't fear, okay? She knows who she is. There's no identity crisis here. She knows who she is. And that's what I want to encourage you to get into this energy. If you're not already in this energy, to get into this energy of really beginning to understand and know who you are, and then to trust that. Trust the higher self. Trust your inner knowing over all else. Okay. To be the creator in your life, right? And look, we have the World. We're ending the cycle here of the identity crisis, right? With lessons learned. That's what it's all about. It's about closing out cycles, right? Recognizing when you're in a pattern, when you're dependent on others for whatever reason. When you're dependent on the approval of others, you're not yourself. You are not trusting yourself, and you can't follow your highest calling when you are dependent on others. When you're giving all your power away. All your power is in knowing who you are. That's where your power is. When you are relying on and dependent on other people to direct you, guide you, make choices for you, you have no power. You're powerless. I had somebody in my life who would always come to me and ask me my opinion all the time. And I would say, what do you think? No. What do you think? No, what do you want to do? Because I understood that when you start making opinions, when someone doesn't want to make decisions for themselves, it's really an underlying issue of being a follower. A follower is someone who doesn't want to take accountability for their own choices. So they'll put their choices on other people so that they can then turn around and blame the other people for the choice. If it doesn't go right, they'll blame you. If it goes right, they'll take all the credit. Okay? We're called to end that cycle of getting secondhand guidance. Secondhand, not guidance, but secondhand direction in the cycle of giving our power away. Okay? Now let's look at the follower in the foundation, because that's the foundation of this giving your power away, is that you don't want to lead yourself. You feel more comfortable with other people telling you what to do. And that could be a childhood thing. Maybe you had parents who were very controlling, never allowed you to make choices for yourself. You know, that could be something that you need to heal. Something that you need. And part of healing, I think the biggest part of healing is recognizing the problem. You know what I mean? Being able to catch yourself when you're doing a certain thing. Oops, you know what? Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to decide for myself. I'm going to make a choice for myself. I'm going to take responsibility, because when you take responsibility for your own choices, that is powerful. And some people are not going to like it. Some people are not going to be supportive, and they're not going to have, the best things to say, because some people like the power of you needing them, or feeling like you need them for something, or feeling like, yeah, I can tell this person to do this and they'll just do it. Like, that is, yes, no. So we have here the Two of Cups under follower. The Two of Cups. People that you feel emotionally connected to. This is about an emotional connection, okay? Usually the follower, right, feels some type of emotional connection towards the people that they are following, That's a part of it, feeling connected to someone. And there's nothing wrong with feeling connected, nothing at all wrong with feeling connected to someone. But it's a whole other thing for you to give them the power to decide who you are or what you're going to do in your life. Your life is your own. And someone who really loves you and cares for you and who is healed and understands that they want you to be the master of your own life. They want you to make your own decisions. They don't want to make decisions for you because they don't want to be responsible for what you choose. We have the Queen of Cups here. The Queen of Cups is someone who is very loving, understanding, a sweetheart, right? And she loves the people that she loves, period, point blank. Loves the people that she loves. But she is someone who has mastered her emotions. She understands. Look at this little clam with this pearl, right? She understands that this, her emotional connection, right, are really a gift. You can't see your emotions. She has pearls around her neck too. She has pearls in her crown because your emotions contain within them pearls, wisdom. Pearls also are a sign of wisdom. And this is what you want to learn how to trust. Your emotions, your intuition. They also represent the cup's energy is about water, right? And water flows, it flows and it adapts and it molds and it's very free. You know, that's why people, when they're in their emotions, you know what I mean? Some people consider being overly emotional or being overly intuitive, they may consider that as a weakness. But actually, that is a strength. Your emotions are really what connect you to the divine, your feelings. It's about, what do we strive for? Do we really strive for money and things and, material things? Is that what we really want? Or do we really want how those things make us feel? That's what we're really after is the feeling of having it all, the feeling of being wealthy, the feeling of being free, because we equate the feeling that we get from the things that we want with the sense of freedom. The Queen of Cups is someone who nurtures her own emotions and the emotions of others, just like the Queen of Pentacles nurtures her environment. The Queen of Cups nurtures the emotions and the emotions of others, right? She is not a follower. She's someone who encourages the people in her life that she loves to honor their own emotions, to fill their own cups. You see how they're holding their own cups, to fill their own cups. And she is a teacher of that. Okay? And I'm encouraging you to embody the energy of the Queen of Cups. And here we have death. Okay? And because it came out sideways, but it didn't come out fully sideways. Okay? So I'm going to take it in the upright, right? I'm going to take it in the upright. Death is allowing something to end. It's allowing it came out as a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to say maybe it's a challenge to not be a follower. This is under follower. Maybe it's a challenge to let that part of you end, right? And if you notice, follower is under foundation, and death is also a number 13, which is a number 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. Again, foundation, stability. Okay. You get stability when you allow things that don't serve you to end. When you end things that are not, in order for something else to transform. It's the cycle of life, right? Everything, think of a butterfly, how we have a butterfly here on a stick, right? A butterfly starts off as the caterpillar, but the caterpillar goes through this metamorphosis inside that cocoon where the caterpillar ends in order for the butterfly to begin. And that's what the death card represents. It's allowing something to end in order for something to begin. So maybe what you need to let end is this energy of being a follower so that you can begin to step into your Queen of Cups energy, right? That is encouraging you and everyone around you to fill their own cups, to trust your own emotion and your own intuition, your own inner knowing, and your own divine guidance. To trust in that. Yeah, there needs to be an ending. Okay. All right. And we have temperance here. Stability, harmony. This is about harmonizing. The temperance also pours water from one cup to another, or allows the free flowing of water, right? Because water goes everywhere. You don't restrict water, right? It goes through the crevices and the corners, and it's free flowing. It goes with the flow of whatever object or whatever container it's in. It learns how to mold itself and adapt itself to the container that it's in, and that produces harmony and balance. When you pour water in a cup, you don't see water lopsided on one end. You find that the water fills every crevice and it's always balanced. It's always harmonious with the container that it's held in, always, right? And that's temperance. It's about learning to adapt yourself, not being afraid, not being locked up in your heart space. You have to open your heart space so that you can allow yourself to flow and be harmonious with your life, to have balance within your life. And this is the shift that you need to make. Open your heart. To open your heart, because it seems like your heart is guarded. You have fear, right? You are creating from a place of fear. When your heart is guarded, it's guarded because of fear. So you want to heal your heart by beginning to trust yourself. Beginning to allow yourself to go with the flow of where your life is leading you to. Anything else? We have the Seven of Pentacles came out reversed. The Seven of Pentacles upright is about planting seeds and growing. It's about giving your attention to something, because what you give your attention to is what grows, right? And so with it falling under the guarded heart, right? You want to take your attention away from what you're fearful of, away from fear, and focus on what's real. Okay, this is the Seven of Pentacles is all about where you place your attention, because truthfully, what you give your attention to multiplies. It grows. And so you have to learn how to discern how you use your attention. And you want to use your attention from a place of having an open heart. You know, when your heart is open, you're discerning about what you allow in your energy field, about what you give your energy to. Okay. So with the guarded heart, we're operating out of a place of fear, and Spirit is saying to you, take your attention away from the fear. Take your attention away from the fear and focus on what you want, what you truly desire. Focus on the outcome that you want to achieve. Allow yourself to go with the flow. The Four of Cups. So this is about controlling your attention, taking attention away from things that do not, away from fearful things, away from things that make you feel closed off, right? Away from anything that guides you to a place that you've been before that you don't want to go back to, okay? Repeating cycles, right? When you've been through a cycle over and over again, that's a wake-up call for you to pay attention, for you to pay attention. Be careful of not allowing cycles to end because you're focused or you're not focused, a lack of focus. The Seven of Pentacles upright is about focus. It's about planting seeds and giving care, love, attention, energy to something so that it can grow, right? In reverse, it's about focusing on the wrong things. The wrong things, right? And maybe being indifferent, not really wanting to receive being closed off to receiving loving wisdom. But this wisdom comes from you, right? This wisdom is the wisdom of the divine. It's the wisdom that comes from within yourself. Not being willing to, you see the rose-colored glasses up here? Maybe taking those rose-colored glasses off or refusing to see things that contain the rose-colored glasses. You know what I mean? That's what this feels like. Refusing to see things. Somebody's handing you a cup of something, but the rose-colored glasses sitting on top of this cup, it could be it could be something that's not real. It could be something that's not going to be for you. It could be something that keeps you stuck and in denial, right? And that's what happens when we go to other people and ask them and give them our power in exchange for their approval. It's like having rose-colored glasses on. You think you're making the right moves, but you aren't making the moves that are your moves. So being closed off to this type of energy, right? Being closed off to the idea of being misled. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? I feel like we're going to get to a conclusion. The Six of Pentacles. Here we go. Who you share your energy with. Who you give to. What are you feeding? Are you feeding someone else's ego by giving them your power? By giving your power away? You have to be careful about what you're feeding. Because what you give your energy to, who you share your energy with, the Pentacles are all about material energy. Material energy are things that we experience in the 3D. So we're talking about your time, your money, your material things. Who are you giving your things to? What are you, who are you sharing your energy with? Energy is the most powerful thing that we have in the 3D. When we lose our energy, what happens when you have no energy? You're depleted. You're exhausted. You can't produce. You can't function fully. You can't, So who are you giving your power away to? Gotta be careful about that. And very, very deliberate about that. Okay, let's get into the conclusion. The conclusion, the Hanged Man. We need a new perspective. It's about surrendering. Surrendering to your own guidance, to your own inner knowing. When you surrender to your own inner knowing, you gain a new perspective. It's about surrender. not trying to control everything. Sometimes controlling means letting go, right? It's not about maneuvering everything like you're playing chess and you're trying to, because that's also something that comes from a place of fear. Your heart is closed, and it comes from an identity crisis, not knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you trust that what you feel and what you know within yourself, that the divine is going to orchestrate whatever needs to be orchestrated on your behalf for you to be able to stay on your path. And that is a truth. That is an absolute truth. Anything else in the conclusion? Yep, the Hierophant. The Hierophant is an authority. Okay? Surrender to a higher authority. That higher authority is you. It's your higher self. It's not your neighbor. It's not your best friend. It's not your parent. It's not your you know, it's a higher authority. And the only higher authority that we all have is that inner knowing, that higher self that resides on the inside of us. The one that gives us the idea, the one that gives us the direction. So we're receiving instructions from our inner self, from our higher self, and then we're going out and asking somebody else to validate those instructions. Surrender to your higher self, and you will receive the vision, the perspective that you need to see in order for you to move forward. And that's your guidance. Okay? That is your guidance. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Swords. Okay? The Ten of Swords is all about allowing your thoughts to trap you. Being trapped. It's also about betrayal. But I believe that it's mostly about self-betrayal, right? That's something that's your thoughts, being so caught up in fear of betrayal, fear of things not going your way, all these fears that is preventing you from seeing the roses that are right above you. And if you look at this, she's a bee, right? A bee is a producer, something that's meant to produce and to fertilize and to, it's a huge part of nature. Like we need bees in order to pollinate our flowers and our trees and the things that are so beautiful and much needed, even our foods, right, in nature. And if you're trapped in your thoughts and trapped in your fears and not trusting, right, it blocks you from being able to pollinate this flower that needs whatever it is that you have to give it. This flower needs to be fertilized by the bee in order for it to grow and bloom. But if you're trapped, you can't do what you came here to do, which is contribute to the whole. You can't create a legacy. You can't pollinate the flowers of your life or cause the things that are in your life to grow that you're supposed to, that you came here to do. We have a 10. We have a 1 and a 0 again, right? You have experience. You came here with a knowing. You don't have to tell a bee to be a bee. And you don't have to tell a bee to go and pollinate the flowers. The bee knows what it is, and it just does what it knows to do. It trusts its own inner guidance, and its inner guidance never, ever leads it wrong, never leads it wrong. And so it always goes to the flowers that need to be pollinated. It's always attracted to the right things, right? But it can't if it's stuck in these fears. in fears and misunderstandings and a lack of self-trust because it doesn't know who it is. If it doesn't know who it is, it's stuck. It's stuck. And who it is, the Empress. What does the Empress do? The Empress takes action on her intuition. So the High Priestess is the one who intuits. She receives the secrets of the subconscious that says, this is what you are, this is what you're called to do, or this is where this is what you're here to do. The secrets of the unseen. That's what the High Priestess is. She sees the unseen. She intuits everything that is. That's your subconscious mind. That's what she represents. The Empress is not concerned with the subconscious mind. The Empress simply acts. She simply responds. Okay? That's why she's always pregnant, because she doesn't think about the unseen or the unknown. She responds to the intuition that's sent to her, that spark that's sent to her, that idea that's sent to her from the High Priestess. She responds. That's what she does. She just responds. And what ends up happening in her, and she doesn't worry about the outcome. She responds without worry about the outcome. And this is how Mother Nature works. If Mother Nature was worried about the outcome, we'd never get any green. We'd never have, nothing will ever grow, because Mother Nature would be stuck in analysis paralysis. Mother Nature does not think. Mother Nature responds to an inner knowing, to an inner fire, to an intuition. That's it. And that's your reading, guys. That is your reading. That's where your power lies. You are the Empress. Step into your Empress energy and begin to respond. And, stop outsourcing your power. Stop giving your power away to other people. But begin to heal whatever it is that needs to be healed within you. But the first thing about healing is recognizing what needs to be healed. So you just give it some thought. What's holding you back? What's preventing you from trusting yourself? And, maybe journal about it. Maybe write it down, so that you can begin to catch yourself when you're doing that. And when you begin to catch yourself, that means you're in awareness. And once you're aware of something, once you can see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. So now you have to make a conscious decision to go into giving your power away. And that's what's going to stop you from giving your power away, because you're not going to like the results of that. All right, guys, I hope the reading was helpful. I hope it was insightful. I hope that, I hope it just opened your mind and helped you to maybe just think about some things, right? These are things that we all have to learn, in ways that we all have to grow. But the most important thing, and what I'm here for, is to help you gain some understanding and to maybe give you a little bit of guidance, just a little bit, and to give you some hope and inspire you to trust yourself. And if anything resonated with you in this reading, I hope that you will share it in the comments. We'd all love to hear it. I'd love it if we all could support each other here on this journey that we're all on, and having these different experiences. But really, we're on the same. We all have. It's amazing because we all have all these experiences, right? That we can relate to everyone else that's having the same experience, but their experience is different because it's from their own perspective. It's from their own point of view. But that doesn't mean we can't support each other, because we absolutely can, and it does make a difference. So I hope to see you in the next reading. You all enjoy the rest of your day and take care and be blessed. Thank you.